All right. Well, hey, what's up, man?
What's up?
I'm here. You?
I believe I'm here.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Philosophical standpoint, I would assume we're here.
Yeah, I've had a shit over a week, so I'm happy to be here. We took last week off. You were busy with work. We couldn't get together, so man, I went through this whirlwind the past 2 weeks. I've been, as we talked about, climbing down from medication, and I'm doing it with the supervision of my doctors and doing it the right way. And this last time, it would have been it was the third to final drop. So my third to last drop.
Mm-hmm.
And my last drop would be I'm done. I'm off everything.
Yeah.
And so every time I find this pattern of like, okay for a couple days, sort of dismal for a few days, then I'm okay again.
Mm-hmm.
Drop the next week. Okay, a couple days down. I'm like, all right, cool. I got this pattern.
So it's like a stagnant exact number of days, or is it just each time it's
generally about 3 days.
3 days?
Yeah,
so
roughly.
3 down.
About three. You got 2 up, 3 down, 2 back up again. That's what I could count on.
Okay.
And I started figuring out that rhythm over the past couple months. And I'm like, all right, cool. I just know that during the middle of the week, I really need to watch myself. I need to know that I'm irritable. I need to know that I'm a little down or I'm a little up. And so I did. And I did a pretty good job of that so far. Well, over the past couple weeks, since my last drop, it has been just a tornado, if you will. It has been up, down, up, down, up, down, and I'm managing it.
Mm-hmm.
But this week, instead of going like first couple days of the week, not this week, last week, first couple days of the week are good, then it's bad. It was just all bad, right? And whenever I say all bad, I'm not saying like that's how I perceived it. Like I'm talking about my inner feeling from the medication was bad. Like it was doing bad things to me. And these side effects that they come with are bad enough, but when you go to get off of these meds, they put their hooks in you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, I'm sure it's no different than whenever you try to get off of something insane like, heroin or alcohol. They got their hooks in you already, and your body expects them to be there. When they're not, it freaks out.
Yeah.
So, so over last week and then this week, I'm like, okay, this is getting bad. And it got worse. And, I woke up even this morning and I was just like, come on, man. Like I had this feeling of this overarching feeling of just total gloom and despair. Like I couldn't make a decision to save my life. So I said, hell with it. I got on the treadmill. I did an hour on the treadmill, which is what I normally do. And then, took a shower, got cleaned up. I went right back to bed. I went to bed for like an hour and a half. And when I woke up, it felt a lot better. But I know it was a couple things. One, we actually had to have band practice last night, which is always a good release for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I knew when I woke up from that nap, I was like, all right, cool. We get to get on the podcast today and let it eat a little bit. I think a part of my funk was, of course, it was fueled by the medication change, but I think it was just because the last couple of weeks have been a little off. Mm-hmm. Like my routine's been off. Like you didn't have the podcast to record, didn't have band practice, didn't have the video to edit the final touches on it, that whole thing. And I think it just fueled that sort of shitstorm, if you will.
It allowed you to probably have more time to let your mind wander.
Yeah, man.
And I'm only speaking of this from hearing about it, but people who have like big addictions usually have very strict routines of their day-to-day operations,
right,
when they're doing things and, everything's kind of timed, because usually that's kind of part of an addictive personality.
Right.
So I think it's just your brain wondering, like, last week being a holiday on a Monday, perfect storm for me at work, next day being the first, like, didn't have that. So you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tuesday didn't have the normal routine. So kind of out of your rhythm and whack with those two things. And then all of a sudden it's like, then change of medication. You kind of had your own perfect storm too as well. It's just kind of like, what am I supposed to do? And then the things that normally preoccupy you, that excites you, that gets you into that mode, you're then just kind of like, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Type thing. So
yeah. And I think that, I think it would have been worse had I not continued to meditate every day, continued to exercise every day, try to strengthen the diet every day. Like, had I not been doing that kind of work over the years, I think that this could have easily turned into a much worse depression, But I think that it's important whenever you feel these ways that you're honest with yourself and you tell yourself, listen, this isn't forever. You gotta, and that's you start doing the woe is me shit, and then you don't want to exercise, you don't care about diet, maybe you don't shower, you don't, all the shitty things that you do to yourself when you're depressed. If you don't do those things, then it's just like a revolving door. You can't even get out of your own way, but you got to be honest with yourself. It's when I woke up, I said, man, it's just not right. I need a redo, you know? And you got to be honest. You really cannot just go day to day like I've done for years and just sort of gloss over the problems, whatever they might be.
No, it doesn't help anybody. That's been proven.
Yeah, man. Well, I think diet plays a big part into it. I think that when I have been super, super clean in the past, my moods tend to be a little more elevated. And I think that they're tied together. I really do.
Directly say there's a coordination with that because there's been research into kids with ADHD, ADD, talking about certain foods can fuel those. Kids with Asperger's and certain diseases and stuff like that, like those types of things, like they say, like it can be a direct correlation. They try to blame it on gluten for a long time, which I don't know what that panned out to be, but I say that's with anybody. If you put in you want to run a little social experiment, eat shitty foods for a few days, see how you're going to feel.
Yeah.
Because you're not getting the normal energy your body requires because it's crappy food. You're getting all this processed stuff, so your body's dealing with that. The food you're eating is not the best for you, so then that psychologically plays a toll on you. Doing it fast food style, you're probably then getting into a more lazier mode, so you're just kind of stepping back off the gas pedal to complacency versus trying to,
Yeah.
I've been eating pretty damn good for the past month doing this animal-based diet from the Carnivore MD, Paul Sedino, I think is how you say his last name. And it's basically eating, majority of your meal should be meats, then certain fruits and vegetables, but certain fruits and vegetables that don't have the inflammatory processes.
Right, yeah, gotcha.
So like no leafy vegetables. I've not had a single nut, no grain in over a month. No peanut butter, that type of thing, which I love peanut butter, which is very weird. But his whole kind of philosophy is just like you eat things, what you eat should not show up in the toilet.
Right.
You eat nuts.
Right.
You see it. You eat a ton of salad.
Yeah.
And so his whole thing isn't, he explains to us, he's like, leaves naturally have chemicals to fight. They don't want to be eaten.
Right.
That's why certain animals can only eat certain plants and others it would kill.
Right.
Well, nuts have a protective coating on it. That's why you see some diets and some nutritionists say you need to soak your nuts, whatever type of, you're going to eat for days on end, like it's 48 hours. Then that protective film has come off and it's safer to eat and digest because some of it will cause inflammatory digestive issues in people.
Yeah.
So like his whole thing's that. So like I've been doing that. He's big on eating organs. So, but you got to get it from good grass-fed, pasteurized, stuff like that. So eating the hearts, the livers, because there's so much vitamins in that, which is naturally true. That's where the most vitamins from meat is contained in the organs of whatever animal you eat it from, especially if you're doing wild game. But that whole thing is like, I felt best, and I still have my days, but like energy-wise, I feel much better versus some days I'm drained, but like I don't have a lot of the pain in my joints and my body from old injuries that I normally had before.
Well, a lot of that comes from the inflammation from the sugars and
and so with cutting all that kind of stuff out, I feel much better because it's not inflaming my body. I feel good mentally because I know I'm eating these things. Like I've never probably downed so much fruit in my life.
Yeah,
eating cartons of berries every few days. I was eating an apple on the way here. Talked to my wife, and so was she. I was like, "Oh, you're eating an apple? I think I got one in my bag." All right.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And then, eating dates and then nothing but like grass-fed, pasteurized, pork, chicken, and, eggs and stuff. Like, I think mentally makes you feel better as a start. Even before you've eaten that first meal, you're like, man, I'm gonna go this route.
Yeah.
You kind of just get mentally set, but I think it mentally makes you feel good. Like when I used to train and fight or eat real clean for competitions, like I felt mentally always ready and strong because I think it was part of the placebo effect of what I was doing eating wise, but I think in full reality, how I ate made me feel better.
Yeah.
You know, like when I've had a weekend in the past of nothing but shitty eating, I feel like crap when Monday comes. And I think that's why most people feel like crap.
Well, you've consumed so much emptiness.
Yeah.
Like so much of what you've eaten doesn't do anything for you, right? It tricked your brain into thinking that you were satisfied for a moment, and then it probably made you think you were not satisfied in the next moment.
Yeah.
You know, and it didn't do anything for you. It probably didn't have a lot of good fats or a lot of good proteins, probably a lot of sugars and processed bullshit. So yeah, there's a big difference. I know for me, it's huge. It's absolutely correlated. It's, you know, I can't say that my diet, good or bad, would have changed my past couple of weeks because the medication changed that I'm on.
Bigger factor.
But it doesn't help anything to fuel that fire with sugar, so you're inflamed.
Yeah.
So you get more depressed because you can't move the way you want to move, you know, or you don't get good sleep because of inflammation and it's causing your back to hurt, you know, or whatever it is. It's not difficult to find the problems. What's difficult is getting the gumption to remove those things, even though we know how bad they are for us.
Yeah.
It's so fucking hard to get them out of our way, man.
No, you know, and I got a client, like he suffers from depression. It's a hereditary thing, sadly. And,
Yeah.
you know, we'll leave him nameless, but, I know over the, you know, I've trained him for, I don't know, good, close to maybe 10 years. But like when he has his spouts, he gets in those depressive modes. It's like, first thing I said, well, how's the eating been?
Yeah.
Not too great. You know, it was a rough day at work. Had to do this and that. And then I grabbed something, had to run the kids here, or I didn't, you know. And I said, you got to change the food. You know, and you've told me this, that a direct correlation to how you feel is from your eating. And thankfully he doesn't take medication anymore. He's
Good.
kind of got it under wraps with physical fitness, doing other things that have got him into a better mindset and stuff. But I always am like, yeah, okay, how's the working out been? It's been really busy, just, you know, get done. I'm like, even if you get off work and you don't feel like doing it, just 10, 20 minutes, something, walk.
Yeah, do something.
Bike, you know, do something that gets you moving. Go for a jog with, you know, one of the kids. And he's like, yeah, I got to get back. And then as soon as he starts doing those things for a few days, he's just like, damn.
Yeah.
Like, I feel good. And I can even, like, in his voice or if we're texting, I can see the just flip of the switch from those things.
Yeah, as you're talking, I'm going through this checklist inside my head. Yeah, like, yeah, right, correct.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen it, I've felt it myself, correct.
That's what so many people don't realize is, you know, how you feel is a direct correlation of not so much your own thoughts, but starts with your environment and the environment of what you're taking in, what you're watching, what you're reading, what you're viewing on that phone screen.
Yeah.
But a big aspect of that, what people don't take into consideration is what are you putting into your body?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, if you're constantly putting in fast food after fast food, processed foods, bad foods, like high inflammatory foods, yeah, you're going to feel like garbage.
Yeah, and there's nothing you can do. There's no shortcut to feeling better. Like, because if you just go grab another handful of candy or another burger or a bag of chips or whatever your vice is, or a beer, you know, that's a bad one for a lot of us because they just add up.
Yeah.
It just pain is going to beget pain, and it's just going to keep going and going. And it's this loop that we get ourselves into, no different than like an echo chamber with your friends where you always hear the same thing, so it becomes your reality and you don't challenge it. Well, here, you know, you have to challenge your process. You have to challenge your way of, my God, I want to get up off this couch and go grab a bowl of ice cream. But you got to tell yourself, is it worth it? Because I know I'm going to be in pain. I know it's going to hurt my back, or I know, you know, it's going to add another pound to my waistline. Mm-hmm. Is it really worth it? If it is, that's on you. That's your life. And I'm not here to shame you or tell you not to live that way.
Yeah.
But if you're trying to get better, why don't we stop getting in our own way? You know, we got to be honest with ourselves. No, don't get up and grab that. Grab an apple, like Jeff said.
Yeah.
Grab some berries. Stock that fridge up with some fresh fruit. you don't feel any better than when you down a bunch of fruit and water and maybe good proteins or vegetables. You cannot replace that with the junk that most of us eat day to day and expect to get those good feelings, right?
Yeah.
You can't expect to go walk or run a marathon when you haven't practiced.
Yeah. It's very few and far between can go out and do that.
Right. So it's much the same, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a big thing. Like, between this gentleman and this other gentleman my wife introduced me to on social media, TJ, Tommy John, his dad is the original Tommy John.
Oh, nice. Nice.
And then he played his son, Tommy John Jr., I guess you could say, played baseball and all this and that, had a great career, but he became a doctor. And so he talks a lot about those things too, like, what we don't naturally do for us enough. So like today and yesterday, not the best of days, but this weekend was very beautiful here. Son, I'll ask you this. Did you go outside a lot?
You asking me?
Yeah.
Yep. I did.
Good.
I made sure of it.
Yeah.
But you know why I did it? Because I have that checklist in my head. Are you eating fruits and vegetables? Are you getting out? I even went out to the lake here at Highland, but you're right to ask that, because so many of us, when we get into that place, like your friend or like myself, everything goes by the wayside.
Yeah.
You start lying to yourself.
Yeah. And so this is what he has and my wife's been doing daily is like, sun, affirmations, good food. I can't remember it all, so I'm going to try and just go off the top of my head. Sun, affirmation, good foods, exercise, meditate, and a few other things. And she writes this out in her journal daily, and she checks. And so, like, daily she goes out in the sun, even if it's not sunny. Like, he'll talk because he lives on the coast, and he'll be like, hey, it's overcast. The sun's still coming through the clouds.
Yeah, you're still getting vitamin D.
And so, like, him and then Paul, TJ and Paul, so I'm listening to Paul's stuff. Wife's listening to TJ, both saying you need to be in the sun. TJ now left the U.S. and lives in Costa Rica. Dude's got
plenty
awesome.
of that.
Yeah, he's a badass place. But being in the sun. So something I've done most of my life is constantly spray stuff on my body because, one, sun and I, it's one or the other.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Plus, with us and all of our ink, it fades. But then, getting a whole bunch of different stories. But both of them are like, how much carcinogens and poisons are in suntan lotion and block, whatever. You got to really dig to do that. Or if you're going to do it, make your own.
Yeah.
Use natural ingredients that can slowly mix them together, can increase the natural SPFs that you need.
Right.
So I guess it was this past couple weeks, I've been doing less. I'll put a little on my face and that. Didn't put any on myself Saturday and was outside, roasted my stomach. Like, beet red. And it was so painful. And when I get burnt and a lot of sun, I get extremely hot.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Which normal is too for people, but it makes me feel miserable.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife's like, oh, God. I was like, I don't feel good. And finally, after a few hours, I felt good. Then she's showing me her and my daughter, and they're just like, yeah, you both got more of that Italian aspect, my wife especially, but my daughter got the darker aspect of the skin. And then they're just wrenching. I was like, hey, it affects everybody differently.
Well, sure.
But I've been trying to do the same thing. So if I got to work out and it's got to be outside, normally I would be covering up, spraying before I go. Now it's like, okay, take my shirt off. I'm only going to be out there for like 10 minutes. Not too bad.
Yeah.
I mowed the grass for the first time, I guess, last week without a shirt. I couldn't tell you when. I'm usually in jeans and a long sleeve shirt.
Yeah.
And besides the pain, but like those subtle things of trying to get sun daily versus before, I noticed that it makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Like the few times of sitting out in the backyard, like reading, I just sat in like our backyard, patio and just kicked my feet up and reading. I'm like, man, as the sun moves, I'd kind of turn and read, however long. I go in and I'm like, man, I feel great.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that goes along with like what these two gentlemen are saying. And, most of the people who suffer from depression, not due to, some could be, unfortunately, like you're doing, you're trying to live it out with medication, but most who suffer from depression, or even just daily life, it's already proven we as humans don't get enough.
Yeah.
I think where we live here in the Midwest, I think we have to be out 7 to 8 hours naked.
Really?
To get the equivalent of vitamin D.
I'm going to have to increase that.
Like wearing sunglasses.
Right.
Now they say the sun to your eyes is bad. It deteriorates. Same thing. I've had my eyes zapped so I can get my good vision.
Yep.
Well, most of the vitamin D is absorbed to your eyes.
Yeah.
So like both these fun, and then TJ always will post stuff. He's like, I'm getting sun and tanning my bits.
Yeah.
So he will lay out in his backyard completely. And then this other dude says he does it in his place in Costa Rica. But like all this research of things that, sun's bad, gives you cancer. But does it really? Does it really give you skin cancer? There's a whole nother topic we could go down, but does it really do all these bad things that people said they do? Because
did it just start getting real bad when they started making more sunscreen?
Yeah. Or maybe we're all getting skin cancer because the food we're eating is 10 times shittier than it was generations ago. Like my grandpa's a farmer, and I don't ever recall that dude putting on anything for the sun.
No.
He already had a darker skin complex. To me, he looked like Elvis.
Yeah.
A little bit darker skin. You see me, and they'd be like, how are you?
Right.
You grandpa? Like, kind of, but he never put anything on. I think it's more of a things of other things that we encounter. And these two gentlemen, it's really piqued my wife and I's mind, is making you think against the grain of what you've always been told. Mm-hmm. And, okay, well, go experience it for yourselves. Do these things. And both are doctors.
Yeah. Sure.
And going completely against what they've been taught in school, what they've practiced, and all the things that they did.
Yeah.
TJ even goes on to, because he has a podcast, and he even took his doctor title. And he goes, I'm just another dude spewing. Yes, I'm a doctor, but that doesn't say I want people to know I'm just a guy telling you information.
Right.
Doctor part, that's cool.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. I don't think there's any denying the correlation between a good diet and good, healthy lifestyle, brain health,
Oh, yeah.
It's silly to think that your brain is gonna benefit from all those sugars and all those processed chemicals and foods. It's hard to think that when you look at the back of a suntan or a sun protection bottle, you don't even know what 9/10 of the ingredients are.
No,
but you're lathering them up and putting them on you.
Same thing with your food. They say if you can't pronounce those first how many things in the ingredients of your food, you shouldn't eat it.
Right, but just think how quickly people go and put that stuff all over their babies. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that you have to, like Jeff said, you need to take a look at stuff maybe outside the box, maybe just a little differently than what you have in the past. Get yourself out of that comfort zone so you can start making your own decisions.
Yeah, it's just teaching you to think differently. By any of the things that we always say, it's not to sway you to agree with us, but it's to see both sides, as I think we all should, as we discussed here. You may not agree with one party, but I see what you're getting at, Yeah. And that's what I like. And, diving into these guys' lives more and listening to research. And then with the Carnivore MD stuff, he's had a lot of UFC fighters now lately starting to do this. Like George St. Pierre's, he's retired, but he's got a lot of other current guys doing this. And these guys saying they felt, and that's how I found him, was through George St. Pierre. I've always followed him and loved him, and I was like, well, I'm going to try this. Carnivore would have been really too expensive to do. Doing the math, it's like $30, $40 a day to what I'd have to equivalent eat, and that's just ridiculous.
Yeah, that's a lot of food.
Without buying, cow in bulk, basically.
Right.
But I'm like, okay, this is good. I definitely need to eat some more fruit and veggies, but I don't really eat any of the veggies because I don't like the ones that are on his list. So I eat basically, lots of fruits. I eat the dates because that's like a sweet treat if I need it. He doesn't even say, no post-workout, no shakes.
Yeah.
I've only done, I think, 2 in the past month when I was just in a bind. I'm like, I can't eat right now, but I know I need to get something in me or else I'm just going to be miserable.
Dude, I had to cut my protein out because I totally didn't even think about it. I was using a protein that isn't really sweet, so you have to add a potato starch to it.
Yeah,
basically so anyway, I've been doing that since back in my hard training days, but now you don't need that, like that insulin spike, that sugar before the protein comes in and that whole process. You don't necessarily need that if you're just walking on a treadmill, burning a few calories, getting your ticker going. So, you're dumping 30, 40 grams of this dextrose.
Simple carbs.
Dextrose down your system. It's like, well, shit, no wonder I'm not losing any weight. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like
now you go back to doing CrossFit. That's where you need that because you dipped into that. And then,
you empty out your glycogen stores. And
listening to that guy, and I even messaged Dr. Paul, and I was like, hey, man, I've been listening to your podcast, trying to get more. What do you recommend post-workout? And he was like, first and foremost, meat and organs. I'm like, okay. Do a hard workout, dates.
Yeah.
Raw organic honey. He goes, you hop into those things, coconut water, but you got to find the right one.
Yeah.
A lot of the bullshit, the real deal.
Yeah.
He can speak easy. He can go out and hit it out of a damn tree.
Yeah.
Off his house on the beach.
Yeah. The coconut water is so yummy, but it's so
that's
calorie dense.
What I've been doing.
Sugars.
Yeah. I found organic, it's not hard to find organic coconut water, which it has minimal, but I've been doing like 2 tablespoons of raw organic honey when I get done. And then I'll go start eating some grass-fed beef. I'll do that. I have organ supplements where it's grain-fed, or not grain, but grass-fed organs from cattle ground up into capsules.
Right.
Because I got to ease those into the house. I'm pretty sure I might freak my wife out. I've had them before. My grandpa's a cattle farmer, so none of this is new to me and eating that way and seeing it. But
yeah, it's different.
Like, it's weird because I worked for a company and I know the science. I learned the science of supplements, post-workout, before workouts, like all this stuff. And it's like, let's just try it.
Yeah, but you learned one way, right?
I did.
You learned the traditional
I've learned
way.
in a few different ways from other people in that realm. But it's like, you know what? I've never tried this for myself, at least for a very long time. Because like when I fought, I was not doing post-workout shakes a whole lot just because it's like you got to – science has changed and whatnot, but I just didn't do it. I was like, if I'm going to eat when I get done, I'd rather have a meal than liquid and waste calories to, cool, I drank 16 ounces versus I got to eat food.
Sure.
But trying that and wondering, okay, well, am I losing strength? No. How do I recover? Good. Putting that pure shot of raw honey into your mouth off a spoon and swallowing it, like, and setting it on your tongue, it will absorb 10 times faster than anything else. Yeah. It is pretty damn quick to like, ooh, okay.
Yeah.
Got done doing Murph and went out to my truck after and had a little bottle of honey. It was like, into my mouth, or I'll squeeze it into water and I'll just drink it and shake it in some water with some salt. But like, I felt good. Like, it's just little things to try. But, all these things that everyone always said to do, it's try it for yourself. If it, on the confines of smart, not harming you, guys, when we talk about these things, like, give it a shot. See how you feel. It's kind of amazing that you change subtle little aspects of your diet or your routine. It can make some big differences, and how you feel.
It's funny how I think, we're such habitual creatures, and we've talked about that ad nauseum. But, if I go back and I think about the way, like maybe one of my sets of grandparents, how they cooked, how they ate, and there was always, white bread on the table. There was always margarine. It was always processed, supermarket shelf kind of food. Well, it could have been very easy for me to take that same lifestyle and brought it into my family or my way of life. And I think a lot of us do that. Maybe not with the diet, maybe not with the food, but maybe it's with, well, we go to church. Well, why do you go to church? I've always gone to church. Okay. Like I said, why do you go to church? You know what I mean? Like, it's the same thing. It's like, why do you always have bags of potato chips in your pantry? Are they good for you? No, you're a smart person. No, they're not good for you. So why do you do it? And I'm just posing a question even to myself. It's funny what we do as humans. That we just get in our own way. Yeah. You know that there's things that you can do differently, but just no different than like you and I, the way that we trained and supplemented, and that was a certain way. That's how everybody did it. Yeah. That's how everybody did it. You're knocking out, 3 sets on each body part, on each machine or weight or whatever you're doing, and you take in X amount of grams of protein, and you better be eating your raw chicken and your raw broccoli, and it's like, damn it, there's another way to do this. Yeah, like, it's science and these people in the medical industry like TJ and Paul, like, thankfully these dudes decided to, I'm going to go against what I've been taught. And listening to them both talk, TJ is fun to listen to. TJ will be fun, more relaxed. Sometimes he'll dive very deep, but Paul will sometimes go very scientific and name shit that I can't even think of what he's talking about in the body. Right. And thankfully he'll break it down, but it's good to see people in their right professions going against what they've been taught. Yeah. To think that maybe there is another way to do something. Well, I think it goes with everything. I think you're absolutely right. It's everything we do. It's everything. There's always a different way to do it. just because you did it that way yesterday, because your mom showed you that, because her dad showed her that, and it's why do we get in these ruts, and then why do we get married to them, right? Why do we believe that these are ours? This is mine. I've got to take care of this thought or this habit. I own it. No, you don't.
No,
you don't have to.
And I think, like exactly like you said, with your grandparents. Now, mind you, what your grandparents were eating, that margarine and white bread, was probably 10 times better at that time than what we're getting now.
Who knows, man?
Yeah, very hard to say. But just because it's something someone else did doesn't mean you have to establish it.
Yeah.
It's no different than, we're both parents. You played one sport, I played a sport, or you're and your wife and my wife. Kids got to do this. Who's to say they have to do what we did?
Yeah.
I've talked about that with my wife before. I'm like, yeah, our daughter's not doing any sports so far that we've done. Who cares? Do you want her to? Yeah, it would be great. But if she doesn't, I'm not going to fault her for it.
Sure.
That's no different than is people. We need to each be our own, not think that you need to fall into the confines of the others. And that was the thing I struggled with, is you can tell from last year about this time and previous, like I didn't want to conform to the group around me, and like to not do everything by the, book and dotting every I, and crossing every T. It's like, oh, no, you don't belong. Why does everyone have to be alike? That's not how it is. That's a cult when you want everyone to be non-free thinking. And that's the thing, is like, see what other people are doing, try a different way of eating out. Maybe it will produce. Give it a few weeks. That didn't work for me. Hey, you tried it. Yeah. You gave it effort. If you gave it a true effort, no different. There's a million fitness programs out there. I don't want to be a bodybuilder. I'm pretty sure right now you don't.
Yeah.
Cool. That's not our needs. But you want to do it? Great.
Yeah.
If that's giving you drive and focus, do it. You want to do CrossFit. You want to powerlift. You want to Olympic lift. You want to go be an ultra runner, marathoner. Find something.
But what's the first thing you do too, though, is you go and you open up the book of the internet and you go, well, how do I become a marathon runner? Oh, well, here is the formula. This is what you do every day. You run exactly this much.
Well, there's not
exactly. You know what I mean?
First and foremost, hey, let's shoot and see if you can do a mile. Couch to 5K.
Right. But what I'm saying is, like, I'm riding your coattails here a bit. Like, go do things, go do new things, but it doesn't mean that you have to go and look up the solution and then stick to that.
Yes.
And then when it doesn't work for you, you're fucked up and you don't know what's going on. Well, there's no other, you can't go back to Google and be like, well,
you were wrong.
Yeah, totally. Like, no, this is on you, man. So like, find something that works. And at the end of the day, what I found that worked was less input, more output.
Yeah.
That's fucking point blank simple. If I don't care if it's shittier calories, as long as there's less of them and I do more output than I did maybe the day before, I'm going to come out ahead.
Yeah.
Now, if I fuel that with good food, good energy, good sleep, read, meditate, walk, the whole thing, it just churns.
It's full circle.
And it gets bigger and bigger and better and better.
Yeah. And that's what it should be. And that's what you guys need to say, like Jeremy's saying, is try something, but you don't got to stick to it exactly to a T.
Yeah.
That's the hard part. People are like, oh, I got to do this. If not, I fail. So you got, you're training for a race, and the one day you don't do it, well, you just kind of slowly push those all out.
Right.
I remember in college when my roommates were all distance runners and they have to get up and do 7-8 miles in the morning, then another 7 or, whatever in the evening. Sometimes the guys wouldn't get up in the morning and be like, hey, it's going to suck. Because I'm like, well, you're going to go out and do 15 today? No. Then I'll have to do this, and I'll have to figure out a way to split it. So a day that would have been a little more relaxed, they're going to break up that miles they didn't get in, do a little there and there.
Yeah.
You just find a way to kind of merge it back in, or you don't do it. It happens. Even a professional athlete doesn't always go as planned in their training. You have to be adaptive in these things and cater them somewhat to you, but not be so adaptive when you try these things to better yourself that you're doing it make it easier on yourself.
Yeah, you're not making a new version.
It should be a challenge. It still should be pushing you, but you should not be trying to cater it so that like, oh, okay, I won't do that. Well, I didn't do it yesterday, so I won't do it today. No, that's not how that works.
Yeah, man. Today I was I'd say about 45 minutes into my hour on the treadmill, and I'm not trying to beat any records. I'm just walking at a comfortable pace. I got a sweat going, my heart's going a little bit, but I'm just chilling. I'm 44, almost 45. I'm not trying to do anything crazy. And, about that 45-minute mark today, I was like, man, this really sucks, dude. I'm not feeling this. And it was, part of the whole just having a shitty morning.
Yeah.
And, or maybe a string of shitty mornings. And I was like, the first thing I thought of was, well, you could get off, but why don't you just dial it down and still go the amount of time?
Yeah.
And so I dialed it down like, 0.10 mile of an hour or whatever. I was like, all right, this feels better. I can stick this out. And about 5 minutes after that, just towards the end, I was like, nah, I'm going to kick it right back up again. But I could have easily jumped off, been done, got my shower, done whatever. But being honest with yourself, sticking to it, making adjustments, but don't jump ship, right?
Yeah.
Like what Jeff was saying, tweak it, but get back on it. Don't tweak it and then get off and then complain and blame it because you had to tweak it. Tweak it so you can stay on.
Yeah, I did that with biking. I was biking 10 miles every day, like I told you.
Yeah.
And I did that for, I don't know, I have to look. But I've got over 1,000 miles. The plan was to do it for 100 days, and it would equal, be 1,000. Well, I knocked that out of the park. Some days I'd do 20. Some days I'd do 25.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you've got pretty good access to the trail, don't you?
Yeah, I was
Madison County Trail?
I was just doing it all at home on a stationary bike.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I didn't even go outside just because time frame. I was doing it real early in the morning or after workouts, and then I got to it, and I was like, well, I hit my goal. I wanted to do 1,000. I was going to do it for 100 days. Well, never mind. I'm done.
Yeah.
And I changed. So I'll still do it. Like I'll get on and I'll ride to recover, warm up. I'm like, I'm going to read for a little bit. So I'll hop on and I can just do two things at once.
Yeah.
But it's like I hit what I wanted to do. I just did it in a short amount of time. Lo and behold, didn't think that sometimes I'd sit on there for an hour plus reading or, just getting in the zone. And it's like, okay, well, I just basically rode, one day I think I rode 30. I'm like, cool. I just did 3 days of riding like I wanted to do in one day.
Right.
Okay, well, I still would ride the next day. And it's just sooner than later I hit it. But it was like I adjusted each day. Some days, too, I couldn't do all 10 at once.
Yeah.
I'd be short on time and have to get to work or train a client real quick. So I was like, okay, well, I'll just knock out what I can, hop off. Cool. I got to do 6 later.
Yeah.
And I'd come back and finish it just based on time versus being very strict in the beginning. I was like, oh, no, if you can't do 10 at once, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Well, in reality, it was pretty hard to do.
Yeah, totally, man.
And it just got my mind that I'm still getting my 10 in. I just didn't tell myself it had to be all 10 at once. And then when I had those shorter times, I got in and I hauled ass on it.
Yeah.
So then I got off faster. I was like, all right, well, I got less time. Let's just get on here and book it, and I'll be off.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And so that's the way to do it.
That's how I was. I figured, well, as long as I'm doing my hour, I'm not cheating myself. I'm still doing my hour, but I need to adjust it. Today is, like back at the gym. It might not be your day. Today's a back squat PR day. Well, guess what? Not for you. It's not.
No, you're not going to PR every time you lift.
You're not feeling it, and just because it says up on the board that today's back squat PR day, that doesn't mean shit. Yeah. You might not have slept well for the past couple of nights. You might not have had your Wheaties. You might, you and the old lady or the old man might have been fighting. Who knows?
Yeah.
But adjust, tweak things, modify them, meditate for 5 minutes instead of 10. Because after 5 minutes, you start getting anxious and you start freaking out and getting mad at yourself because you can't meditate.
I've done that too.
Yeah.
Your head's not in that focus game.
Yeah.
I've not done any structural meditation in 2 weeks. Just doing it on my own again.
Yeah.
I did the Wim thing for 30, and I was like, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm waiting for some of his other challenges to come out to do them. And it's just one of those things. I had those days doing my thing. I'm like, stop.
Yeah.
Okay. Nope. We're going to come back to this.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
it looks like you're buzzing, right? Like you just can't turn it off.
And I think it goes with your intent. Is your intent actually truly there to do it, or are you just trying to accomplish it because you need to do it?
Yeah.
If you're just trying to do it, and your intent's not there, you're really not doing it as you should be.
Totally, man. Yeah, totally.
And that's why I made, when you break up the treadmill or I break up the bike, each time I got on there, the intent to ride was there to do it. Some days it would be slower. It would be a recovery ride. Then other days it's like, man, I feel good. Let's haul some ass and let's get a good sweat.
Yeah, for real.
But you have to do it each with purpose and intent, not just, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Kick up.
Right. I think that's where I was this morning, man. When I got on, I was just like, oh, God.
But I think it hits you when you dropped it down. You're like, nah, you can do this. Come on.
Totally.
It just gave you that few minutes that you needed to be able to, your brain to tell you, no way, too slow, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally, man. And I think it's so vital. It's so important to remember that, when shit like that gets hard, pause. Yeah. Reset. Don't don't quit, don't stop, because going back to the beginning is so much more difficult than just bending or tweaking and staying on track.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a bad moment. You have a bad, you step up to the plate and you strike out. Next time you come up, you hit a double, you run somebody in. Who knows?
Yeah, that'd be like every pro athlete, everything they trained for, something went a little awry, didn't go as planned and schedule. Oh, back to the beginning.
Yeah.
So does that mean you quit your team, you're going back to the minors, or you going back to Little League?
Well, that's why you're like your pitchers and quarterbacks are notorious for they cannot be head cases.
Yeah.
Because you will mess up every other time you touch that ball. You've got to go back and you've got to be okay with it.
No, and that's a good point. People, you really got to understand that little tweaks are good. The professionals do it. You can't start over at the beginning, at the start line, every time you mess up on something. Because no one would be anywhere if every time, I messed up. See ya. I got to go back to wherever so-and-so point.
Well, just think we've had a few episodes here a little earlier on, but still nonetheless within our infancy here that something went awry and we couldn't use the episode.
Yeah,
it was just scratched, and there's a heartbreaker because there's good content there, but you just can't use it for whatever reason, whether it's technical or whether you just screwed up and forgot to record or whatever. But if we would have gotten upset and just pulled the plug, well, we wouldn't be sitting here recording episode number 50.
Yeah. And
that's pretty cool, man. I mean, it's a milestone or it's a marker if you let it be one, and I think I'm letting it be one. I'm pretty proud of it. I think it's great that, you don't hit the bumps and freak out. You hit the bumps and you hang on that steering wheel and you steer the ship right. And I think that when you figure out how to do that in your small hurdles, your life hurdles, your larger things become easier and easier.
Yeah, those big leaps and bounds don't seem much as a challenge.
Right. You've prepared yourself.
Yeah, exactly. You've looked at all those little bumps. You look back and you're like, oh, man, look where I've come.
Right. Totally.
And then that's where you become very flexible and adaptive to, okay, didn't go as planned.
Yeah, man.
Be no different than the military. Yes, you were told to do a mission exactly like this, but guess what? I'm pretty sure not everything you were told exactly how to do it in a mission went that way.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny, man, because going through, like when you go through your basic military training, everybody's doing the same thing. It's rules. It's this. There is no flexibility. But then the first thing you hear in your first deployment is, man, flexibility is the key. You've got to be, you've got to be fluid.
No one said they'd shoot back. What are we supposed to do? No, if that was the case, there'd be no successful military mission ever.
Yeah, yeah. It's always the teams and the individuals that are super flexible and they don't get molded easily. They're always fluid. Those are the guys and gals that really rise to the top out there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what it takes. You got to be able, as we said before, you need to be the water and the river or the banks, and understand that sometimes the water will be above you. It'll be below you, whatever you want to pick of the river, but you need to go with it. Yeah, some days you'll hit a rock and you're just going to go, you're just going to flow with it.
Yeah.
That's the simplest way of how life can be. Now, we always will fight, but I swam in, running water before and trying to go against the current. You're only going to last so long. You just literally wear out. You cannot fight life. You have to flow with it.
That river's not going to tire out.
No. Water will not lose its force.
Yeah, man.
We will.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, man. For sure. And like I said, I think that, looking back over the past couple of weeks, had it not been for, building some of the foundation, that house, if you will, the meditation or whatever it is, it could have been, I don't want to say catastrophic, but it could have been much worse than what it was.
Yeah.
But having that discipline to be able to say, no, today it's this time, that's when you get up. This is when you exercise. This is when you meditate. This is when you read. Following those and being completely honest with yourself, I think is like step number one.
Yeah.
Right. Agree. Like the book, The 4 Agreements,
mm-hmm.
Your word has to be meticulous.
Yeah.
If you're not honest with yourself, you won't be honest with other people,
mm-hmm.
And it's not easy.
No,
it's not fun.
That's the toughest conversation to have, is the one with yourself when you gotta make that tough call.
It is. And there's times where, you sort of, at least myself, I can't speak for other people, but I've had my share of hard moments, and there's always a moment where you go, fuck, I did it to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, I said that. Fuck, I said this. I did this out of habit. Damn it. I was the reason I was so angry, but I was projecting it out onto everybody else around me because I was just lashing out. It
just takes time to see.
It happens,
we're
man.
all guilty of those things.
Yeah, we
Every
all do
one of
that
us.
shit, man. You got to be okay when it's your turn to take the lumps, though.
Yeah.
You got to be okay. That's a moment of growth when you're like, oh, shit. I think I was the asshole when I walked into the room.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I got to wear that hat now.
Yeah.
I got to wear the asshole hat. And it doesn't fucking look good. And, it doesn't look good on anybody. But if you can, my mom, she gave me a little trick because she knows that, I lived a lot of my life with anger going forward. She said, if you can just find a reason to find gratitude about your situation, no matter how much chaos there is in it or how angry somebody has made you, just find gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll help shape the moment. It'll steer you in the right direction. Man, I'll be damned if she wasn't right.
No, that's good.
It's something that I've been using as a tool, even just during my fight with depression, is like treating it like an object. Like, fuck you, man. Mm-hmm. Like you cannot own me. You cannot run me around. I'm going to take charge of this, and I'm going to do this. But I'm very thankful that I have the tools, from the hard work. Mm-hmm. And I have people in my life, like you and other friends that I can call on. I'm very grateful for that. So I start feeling like gratitude. Well, when you feel gracious about something, it makes you smile. It makes you happy. It warms your heart a little bit.
Yeah.
So you can't fucking help but get out of that funk just a little bit.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful little trick to play on yourself.
Simple. Like, take a look around where you're at.
Yeah.
Like, be fortunate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, I always go to people. I always go to and I don't know why, but I always just try to think of somebody that's dear to me that I love or care about in a joyous situation.
Yeah.
And that really helps me to come back to zero, if you will.
No, that's good.
Yeah. It's a lot like the meditations on, wishing somebody else happiness. It's the same kind of purpose, it's setting that intent and and sort of digging into an energy that it's there, but you're not really feeling,
No, I agree.
Yeah. Well, it's good shit. But,
I like that.
Yeah.
Good little tip, everyone.
Yeah, there's something like that. But anyway, having said that, man, I can't believe we've been here for 50 episodes.
That's crazy.
It's unreal, man.
It was cool to see when you hooked up. You guys don't see it. We got an actual clicker so that keep track of when we start and cut,
Right.
stuff like that. And to see 50 written on there, that's pretty neat.
Yeah, man. I've been waiting for it. Like, I remember back around 47, I was like, wow, we're going to hit 50.
We've done way more than 50, but like you said, we played around in the beginning, got our feet wet. Some didn't work.
Yeah.
Sound, video, whatever it may be. We lost a few.
It takes a while to figure out how to work all this shit. It's really like, there's a comedian out. Well, he's been out. I shouldn't say that. Bo Burnham. And he's got that Netflix special he just did, and it's called Inside, and it's just him in this one room, and he sets the stage with lighting and his cameras and keyboards and does all this stuff, but he plays these different skits. But, in the beginning, it's funny because he's got like his tape measure out, and he's getting like distances for his cameras and for his microphones, and he's doing all this stuff, and I am cracking up because I'm like, dude, I know what this guy went through to set this up because he did it all himself,
Yeah.
And it's not easy, man. You got to learn how to operate a camera it's like a new language. If you haven't been into it, or maybe audio, it's like a new language, it's really something, but we've come a long way, man. We've had many iterations already of the studio, at least the cameras and whatnot.
Hey, that's just growth.
Yeah, it is. It's growth and learning. But looking forward to another 50, I guess.
Oh yeah, man.
It's pretty wild, man. So, having said that, I guess we'll go and wrap up. But thank you for being here.
Yeah.
For all
always,
these,
man. 50.
It's pretty rad, dude.
Milestone.
Yeah, I'm happy. Real happy about it.
So thank you all.
Yeah, thank you. And until number 51, we hope you enjoy, and we'll see you then.
See you guys.
Peace.